Have you ever had the unsettling feeling that someone close to you doesn't truly like you, even though they act friendly? Maybe it's a friend, a colleague, or even a family member. They smile, they talk to you, they seem polite, but something feels off. A subtle tension, an unspoken hostility, a sense that beneath the surface, there's something they're not saying. What if I told you that this isn't just paranoia, but a psychological reality? People often hide their true emotions, even from themselves. This is where Carl Jung's shadow theory comes into play. Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed that we all have a shadow self, the hidden parts of our personality that we suppress because they don't align with how we want to see ourselves. But here's the interesting part, many people unconsciously project their own insecurities, fears, and resentments onto others. This means that someone close to you could be harboring hidden resentment, jealousy, or even hatred toward you, without openly expressing it. And because they don't want to acknowledge these emotions, they disguise them in subtle, indirect ways. So how do you recognize the signs? How do you tell the difference between genuine friendship and masked hostility? That's exactly what we'll explore today. In this video, I'm going to reveal 8 powerful signs that someone close to you secretly dislikes you, even if they act friendly. These signs may seem small at first, but when you start noticing the patterns, everything will become clear. We'll discuss how sarcasm and irony can hide deep-seated contempt. Why some people sabotage you without you realizing it. The hidden competition people engage in when they feel threatened by you. The difference between real support and fake encouragement. And how body language and micro-expressions reveal the truth behind someone's words. These insights will not only help you identify hidden enemies in your life but will also empower you to protect your energy, set better boundaries, and surround yourself with people who genuinely support you. So make sure you watch until the end, because understanding these signs could completely change the way you see the people around you. Let's begin. Have you ever noticed someone who constantly makes sarcastic remarks about you, but always with a smile? Perhaps they say things like, "Oh wow, look who finally made it on time," or "must be nice to be so lucky all the time." You laugh along because they make it sound like a joke, but deep down, something doesn't feel right. This is not just humor, it's contempt disguised as irony. And if you pay close attention, you'll see that these jokes are often aimed at your insecurities, your successes, or the things that matter most to you. Let's say you've been working hard on a personal goal, maybe starting a new business, focusing on self-improvement, or even just making a positive change in your life. And suddenly, a friend starts making comments like, "Oh, look at you, Mr. Entrepreneur. Don't forget about us little people when you make millions. Oh, you're eating healthy now. Guess we can't have fun anymore. Wow, you actually went to the gym. That's a miracle." At first, it might seem harmless. But over time, you realize, this isn't encouragement, it's undermining. And here's where Carl Jung's shadow theory comes in. Jung believed that we all have a shadow, a part of ourselves that contains our hidden fears, insecurities, and desires that we refuse to acknowledge. When people see qualities in others that remind them of what they lack or struggle with, they project their inner frustration outward, often in the form of sarcasm and disguised contempt. So, the friend who constantly makes fun of your ambition. Maybe they feel stagnant in their own life and secretly resent your growth. The person who mocks your fitness journey. Maybe they struggle with their own health but don't want to face it. The colleague who keeps downplaying your success. Maybe deep inside, they fear they're not good enough. The key to spotting this kind of hidden hostility is consistency. A single joke. That's normal. But when someone repeatedly makes sarcastic remarks about the same subject, especially something personal to you, that's a red flag. So what can you do? First, trust your instincts. If a joke feels more like a subtle attack, don't ignore it. Second, observe patterns. Who is always the first to make ironic comments about your success, your choices, or your personality? And finally, set boundaries. The best way to expose this behavior is to confront it in a calm but direct way. Try responding with something like, "You seem to bring that up a lot, do you actually mean what you're saying? I get that it's a joke, but is there something bothering you about this?" Watch how they react. A true friend will clarify their intentions. But someone hiding resentment? They'll either get defensive or laugh it off, again. At the end of the day, sarcasm is a tool. It can be used for humor, or it can be used as a weapon. The difference is in the intention behind it. And once you start paying attention, you'll see that what people joke about often reveals more about them than it does about you. So, the next time someone makes a sarcastic remark at your expense, ask yourself, is this really a joke? Or is it something deeper? Have you ever felt like someone in your life was subtly working against you, even though they acted like they supported you? Maybe they give you advice that always seems to backfire. Maybe they agree to help you but cancel at the last minute. Or maybe they plant tiny doubts in your mind, just enough to make you hesitate. This is called hidden sabotage, and it's one of the most dangerous forms of disguised resentment. Unlike open hostility, hidden sabotage is quiet, subtle, and carefully disguised as concern or bad luck. But when you start noticing the pattern, you'll see that these small accidents aren't accidents at all. Let me give you some examples. Imagine you're applying for your dream job. You tell a friend about it, and they say, "That's amazing. But you know, jobs like that are really hard to get. Maybe you shouldn't get your hopes up." At first, it sounds like they're trying to protect you from disappointment. But in reality, they've planted a seed of doubt in your mind, just enough to make you second-guess yourself. Or maybe you're finally taking a step toward a healthier lifestyle. You decide to quit drinking, and your friend says, "Come on, one drink won't hurt. You're being too extreme." Instead of supporting your growth, they're subtly trying to pull you back. Then there's the convenient bad timing. You're about to launch an important project, and suddenly, this person needs your help with something urgent. You make plans to do something meaningful, and they suddenly can't make it, forcing you to adjust everything at the last minute. At first, you might brush it off. But when these things keep happening, when you start noticing a pattern, you have to ask yourself, is this really just bad luck, or is someone deliberately making things harder for me? And here's where Carl Jung's shadow theory helps us understand why this happens. Jung believed that when people feel insecure about themselves, they unconsciously project those insecurities onto others. So, what does that mean? It means that when someone feels jealous of your success, they may not openly admit it, not even to themselves. Instead, they might unconsciously try to slow you down, hold you back, or keep you just close enough that they can control your progress. It's not always about malice. Sometimes, these people genuinely believe they are looking out for you. But deep inside, their actions are being driven by something else, fear. Fear that you will outgrow them. Fear that your success will highlight their failures. Fear that if you move forward, they will be left behind. So, what can you do? First, pay attention to patterns. A single event may be a mistake, but if someone repeatedly gives you bad advice, cancels on you, or makes things harder for you, take note. Second, trust your instincts. If someone's words say, "I support you," but their actions always create obstacles, listen to their actions. And third, set boundaries. You don't need to cut these people off immediately, but you do need to protect your progress. Limit how much influence they have over your decisions. Because here's the truth, someone who truly supports you will clear the way for you, not place obstacles in your path. So, ask yourself, is there someone in your life who is always standing in the way of your success? Have you ever met someone who always seems to be in competition with you, even when there's no reason to compete? Maybe it's a coworker who constantly tries to outperform you, a friend who always has to one-up your achievements, or even a family member who never acknowledges your success but always finds a way to shift the attention back to themselves. This is called silent competition, and it's one of the most common signs of hidden resentment. Unlike open rivalry, silent competition isn't about direct confrontation. Instead, it plays out in subtle, unspoken ways. For example, let's say you get a promotion at work. Instead of congratulating you, your colleague immediately brings up their own recent achievement. "Oh, you got promoted? That's great. I actually just got invited to lead a new project myself." Or maybe you finally accomplish a big personal goal, like running a marathon, losing weight, or learning a new skill. Instead of being happy for you, a friend suddenly starts posting about how they've been training harder, eating healthier, or achieving something even more impressive. The key here isn't just that they're succeeding, it's that they only seem to talk about their success when it directly overshadows yours. Now, why does this happen? According to Carl Jung's shadow theory, people have a hard time accepting qualities in others that they feel insecure about in themselves. So, what does that mean in real life? It means that when someone sees you succeeding in an area where they feel inadequate, they may react by trying to outshine you, minimize your achievements, or subtly compete with you. And the most fascinating part? Many of them don't even realize they're doing it. Because here's the truth, competition isn't always about winning. Sometimes, it's about avoiding the feeling of being left behind. This is why certain people only acknowledge your achievements when they can add their own story to the conversation. They don't want to be seen as less than. They don't want to feel like they're falling behind. So instead of celebrating you, they turn your success into their own moment. Now, does this mean that everyone who shares their accomplishments is secretly competing with you? Of course not. But the difference between genuine sharing and silent competition lies in patterns. Ask yourself. Does this person struggle to give you direct compliments? Do they always find a way to bring the attention back to themselves when you succeed? Do they seem uncomfortable when you talk about your wins, but enthusiastic when discussing your struggles? If the answer is yes, you might be dealing with a hidden rival. So, what can you do? First, don't let their insecurity become your burden. Just because someone feels the need to compete with you doesn't mean you have to engage in their game. Second, observe their energy. Do they only show up when they can outshine you? Or do they support you regardless of where they stand? And finally, choose your circle wisely. True friends celebrate your success without needing to compare it to their own. They don't see your growth as a threat, they see it as inspiration. So, the next time someone subtly tries to compete with you, ask yourself, are they really supporting me, or are they just trying to stay ahead? Have you ever had someone in your life who always says the right things but never truly shows up when it matters? They congratulate you when you succeed, but their words feel empty. They nod in agreement when you share your dreams, but when the time comes to actually support you, they're nowhere to be found. This is called superficial support, and it's one of the most deceptive forms of hidden resentment. Unlike open negativity, superficial supporters don't criticize you outright. Instead, they maintain an image of encouragement, while secretly distancing themselves from your success. Let me give you an example. Imagine you've been working hard toward a major goal, maybe a career breakthrough, a new business, or even just a personal achievement. You finally make progress, and you share the news with someone you consider a friend. Their response? "Oh wow, that's great," and then they immediately change the subject. Or they give you a vague, lukewarm response like, "Nice. Good for you," but without any real enthusiasm. Worse, they disappear entirely when you need them, ignoring your messages, skipping your big moments, or failing to acknowledge your success at all. At first, you might think, maybe they're just busy. But then you start noticing a pattern, they always seem absent when you need them most. So why does this happen? Carl Jung's shadow theory explains that people often suppress emotions they don't want to admit to themselves, like jealousy, insecurity, or resentment. Instead of confronting these feelings, they unconsciously detach from people who make them feel inadequate. In other words, they don't hate you, but your success makes them uncomfortable. And here's where it gets tricky. Some of these people will pretend to support you, just enough to maintain an image of friendship. Why? Because they don't want to look like a bad person. Because they fear being called out for their lack of enthusiasm. Because deep down, they want to keep you close, but not close enough to make them feel small. So, how do you identify genuine supporters from those who only pretend? Pay attention to consistency. Who celebrates your small wins, not just the big ones? Who encourages you privately, not just when others are watching? Who shows up, not just with words, but with actions? Real supporters don't just say, "I'm happy for you," they prove it. They ask questions about your progress. They check in on you. They share your excitement without needing to match it with their own achievements. But superficial supporters? They'll keep a safe distance. They'll give you just enough acknowledgement to avoid suspicion. But never enough to feel like they are truly with you. So, the next time someone congratulates you, ask yourself, is this support, or is it just a performance? Some people don't try to compete with you. They don't openly criticize you. Instead, they disguise their control as concern. They frame their doubts as advice. And they undermine your confidence, not through direct attacks, but through seemingly innocent questions, warnings, and doubts. At first, it feels like they care. They ask you about your decisions, they offer their opinions, and they seem deeply invested in your choices. But over time, you begin to notice a pattern. Every conversation leaves you feeling less sure of yourself. Let me give you an example. Imagine you tell a friend that you're thinking about starting a business. Their response: "Wow, that's a big risk. Are you sure you can handle it? I just don't want to see you fail and regret it later. You know, most people who try this don't succeed. I'd hate for you to waste your time." At first, it sounds like they're just looking out for you. But in reality, they're planting seeds of doubt, slowly making you second-guess yourself. Or maybe you've decided to start eating healthier, and suddenly, this concerned friend starts saying things like, "You're getting a little obsessed with this, don't you think? You don't have to change who you are just to impress people. I miss the old you, why are you acting so different now?" And here's the real test: when you finally succeed, do they celebrate you? Or do they act distant, withdrawn, or even resentful? So why do people do this? According to Carl Jung's shadow theory, some people feel deeply insecure about their own lack of control. They may not realize it, but when they see someone close to them stepping into their power, gaining confidence, growing, taking risks, it threatens their sense of stability. And instead of dealing with their own fears, they try to keep you small, not by attacking you directly, but by making you doubt yourself enough that you don't move forward. This is why their concern never truly encourages you. They don't offer solutions, they offer doubts. They don't build you up, they make you feel like you need their permission. They don't celebrate your wins, they subtly question them. So, how do you recognize this kind of manipulative concern? Pay attention to how they make you feel. Do you leave conversations feeling inspired, or do you feel more hesitant, more confused, more afraid to take action? Look for patterns. Do they question every big decision you make? Do they always find a concern about your progress? Watch how they react when you succeed. A true supporter will celebrate your growth, even if they personally wouldn't make the same choices. But a controlling person? They'll act cold, distant, or even critical of your success. The truth is, concern and control are not the same thing. A real friend will say, "I believe in you. Let me know if you need any help." A controlling person will say, "Are you sure about this? I just don't want you to make a mistake." The difference? One empowers you. The other makes you doubt yourself. So, ask yourself, is someone in your life offering you support, or are they simply keeping you from becoming who you're meant to be? Have you ever walked into a room and felt a shift in energy, as if people had just been talking about you? Or maybe you heard about something untrue being said behind your back, by someone you considered a friend. Gossip and criticism are some of the most insidious forms of hidden resentment. Unlike direct confrontation, they operate in the shadows, slowly shaping how others perceive you without you even realizing it. And here's the truth, people who secretly dislike you rarely attack you outright. Instead, they spread subtle doubts, small criticisms, tiny distortions of the truth, all designed to chip away at your reputation without making themselves look bad. Why? Because gossip allows them to damage your credibility without ever taking responsibility. Let's say you just got a promotion at work. A jealous colleague won't say, "I'm upset that they got the position." Instead, they'll say things like, "I mean, I'm happy for them, but let's be honest, wasn't there someone more qualified? Yeah, they work hard, but they're also really lucky. Right place, right time. They've changed a lot since getting promoted. I hope it doesn't go to their head." Do you see what's happening here? These aren't direct attacks. They're small, calculated comments that plant doubts in other people's minds, without making the speaker look openly bitter. And it doesn't just happen in workplaces. It happens in friendships, in families, in social circles. Let's say you've been focusing on personal growth, improving your mindset, your health, your goals. Instead of supporting you, someone close to you starts subtly undermining you behind your back. "I don't know, they've just been acting different lately. Not sure if it's a good thing. They're really into that self-improvement stuff, but honestly, it's kind of annoying. I miss the old them, they used to be more fun." And the worst part? You might not even hear these words yourself. But over time, you start noticing people treating you differently. Their energy shifts. They hesitate before trusting you. Why? Because someone has been planting seeds of doubt. So why do people do this? According to Carl Jung's shadow theory, people who struggle with their own insecurities often project them onto others. If they feel inadequate, they will try to bring you down to their level. If they feel overlooked, they will subtly discredit your success. If they feel powerless, they will try to control the way others see you. And here's the key, gossip isn't always about destroying someone. Sometimes, it's just about making sure they never rise too high. So how do you protect yourself? First, watch for patterns. If you consistently hear small negative remarks from different people, ask yourself, where is this coming from? Second, pay attention to who spreads information. If someone always has something negative to say about others, don't assume they treat you differently when you're not around. And third, stand firm in your truth. You cannot control what people say, but you can control how you react. The moment you start doubting yourself because of what others whisper, they have already won. So ask yourself, is there someone in your life who always seems to know what others think about you? If so, are they really just a messenger, or are they the source? Success has a way of revealing people's true feelings about you. Some will celebrate with you, genuinely happy for your achievements. But others? They will shrink, withdraw, or even try to downplay your success. Have you ever shared good news with someone, only to have them change the subject, give a lukewarm response, or even subtly dismiss your achievement? Maybe you finally reached a big goal, landed a dream job, or accomplished something meaningful, and instead of excitement, you're met with indifference. I remember a story from a friend who had been working toward a major milestone, buying his first home. He had saved for years, planned everything carefully, and when he finally signed the papers, he was beyond excited. Naturally, he shared the news with his close circle. Most people congratulated him, but one of his longtime friends. His response was different. Instead of celebrating, he casually said, "Oh, cool. I mean, the market is pretty crazy right now. Hope you didn't overpay." No excitement. No, I'm happy for you. Just a passive remark that quietly undermined the moment. At first, my friend brushed it off. But over time, he noticed a pattern. this friend never truly celebrated his wins. Whenever he achieved something, the reaction was either muted, dismissive, or wrapped in a backhanded comment. So why does this happen? According to Carl Jung's shadow theory, people who struggle with deep-seated insecurities often have a hard time witnessing the success of others. It reminds them of what they feel they lack. It forces them to confront their own feelings of inadequacy. And instead of admitting this to themselves, they unconsciously withdraw their enthusiasm. Now, let's be clear, not everyone who doesn't react with excitement is secretly against you. But the key sign is consistency. Do they always find a way to downplay your wins? Do they act uninterested when you achieve something, yet seem engaged when you struggle? Do they redirect the conversation to themselves whenever you share good news? If this happens repeatedly, you may be dealing with someone who harbors hidden resentment. The truth is, genuine friends celebrate you, even when they are struggling in their own lives. They don't let their own circumstances keep them from expressing joy for you. So, what can you do? First, pay attention to reactions. The people who are truly happy for you will show it, not just in words, but in energy and consistency. Second, test the relationship. If you notice someone consistently withholding joy for your achievements, observe how they act when you share something negative. If they seem more engaged in your struggles than in your success, that's a red flag. And third, surround yourself with people who inspire and uplift you. Life is too short to keep those who secretly resent you in your close circle. Because at the end of the day, a real friend doesn't just show up when you're struggling. They stand beside you when you rise. So, ask yourself, who in your life truly celebrates you? And who stays silent when you succeed? Sometimes, people don't need to say a single word for you to sense their true feelings. Their body speaks for them. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone's words were polite, but their energy felt off? Maybe they said, "That's great. I'm so happy for you," but their smile felt forced, their tone lacked warmth, and their eyes didn't quite meet yours. This is because nonverbal communication often reveals what words try to hide. Carl Jung once said that, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What does this mean? It means that people often suppress their real emotions, but their bodies still express them, whether they realize it or not. So, what are the signs of hidden resentment in body language? Forced smiles and tight expressions. A genuine smile engages the entire face, the eyes soften, the cheeks lift, the energy feels warm. But a forced smile. The lips curve, but the eyes stay cold. If someone congratulates you but their expression looks tense or unnatural, pay attention. Avoidance of eye contact. When someone secretly dislikes you, maintaining eye contact can be difficult. If a person suddenly looks away when you're speaking about your success, or if they blink excessively, shift their gaze downward, or fidget while responding, their discomfort is showing. Closed-off body language. If someone crosses their arms, turns their body slightly away, or leans back when you share good news, they may be subconsciously distancing themselves from your success. These are defensive postures, physical attempts to disconnect from an uncomfortable reality. Delayed or weak reactions. You tell a friend some exciting news, and instead of reacting instantly with enthusiasm, there's a brief pause, just enough time for them to suppress their real emotion before forcing a neutral or positive response. Watch how they react to others versus how they react to you. Do they show excitement for someone else's achievements but remain subdued when it's your turn? That contrast is important. Micro-expressions of disdain. Micro-expressions are fleeting facial expressions that reveal genuine emotions before a person has time to hide them. If you ever notice a quick eye roll, a subtle sneer, or a momentary tightening of the jaw when you talk about something positive in your life, their body just exposed their hidden resentment. So, what should you do when you notice these signs? First, trust your instincts. If someone's words feel out of sync with their body language, believe their body. Energy never lies. Second, observe patterns. A single awkward moment doesn't mean much, but if you consistently see these signals whenever you succeed, that's a warning sign. And finally, adjust your circle accordingly. Some people will never celebrate you, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your success reminds them of their own insecurities. That's not your burden to carry. At the end of the day, a real friend's body language reflects their words. Their smile reaches their eyes. Their energy feels genuine. Their presence feels safe. So ask yourself, who truly celebrates you, and who just pretends to? So, let's take a moment to reflect. We've explored the 8 hidden signs that someone close to you may secretly dislike you. Contempt disguised as irony, when sarcasm and backhanded jokes become a subtle weapon. Hidden sabotage, when small obstacles in your life may not be coincidences but intentional roadblocks. Silent competition, when someone constantly tries to outdo you rather than celebrate you. Superficial support, when a person pretends to care but never shows up when it truly matters. Control disguised as caring, when someone questions your choices under the mask of concern. Spreading criticism and gossip, when someone manipulates others' perceptions of you without openly confronting you. Lack of joy in your success, when a friend refuses to genuinely celebrate your achievements. Nonverbal language and hidden details, when body language exposes what words try to conceal. Now, let's ask the important question: what should you do if you recognize these signs? First, trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Energy never lies. Second, observe patterns. A single moment of awkwardness is normal, but a repeated cycle of negativity is a sign that something deeper is at play. Third, set boundaries. You don't have to confront every person who exhibits these behaviors, but you do need to protect your peace. Surround yourself with those who genuinely uplift and support you. And here's something else to consider: could you, without realizing it, be exhibiting any of these behaviors yourself? It's easy to point out toxic traits in others, but real growth comes from self-awareness. Have you ever minimized someone else's success? Have you ever felt resentment toward a friend's achievements? Have you ever been distant when you should have been supportive? If so, don't judge yourself too harshly. These reactions often stem from deep-seated insecurities, and the first step to breaking free is recognizing them. True wisdom comes from understanding, not just of others, but of ourselves. So, here's my challenge for you: be honest about the people in your life. And be honest about yourself. Seek relationships that bring light, not shadows. Because life is too short to surround yourself with silent enemies. If you found this video helpful, like, share, and subscribe for more psychology and self-development insights. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced any of these behaviors in your relationships? How did you handle them? Let's discuss in the comments below.